And last and certainly not least, we have the honor and privilege of hosting one of the first patient perspective podium presentations by Dr. Peggy Brown. So Dr. Brown, take it away for us.
Hi. Thank you very much for being here. I wish I'd heard this before I wrote what I wrote, but I've been thinking a lot about this. And first of all, thanks to Pat Silla. Without surgeon extraordinaire, I probably wouldn't be here. I kept saying, Pat, if I'm alive, I'll be there in Cleveland. And here I am. So thanks to Pat. Now, you all got this, right? Now, I just can't believe simple steps to improve the doctor comes in and he's on time. That's only the beginning. The doctor avoids medical jargon. What else does the doctor say? The doctor how can you be an unactive listener? I'd love to know. Well, actually, I'm wearing hearing aids, and that does help at 92. Playing music, give me a break. It's like a doctor looking at a computer screen. You are not the focus of attention. And I didn't come to a doctor's office to listen to music. Now, I would be if Dr. Bunch or Dr. Herndon is in the audience, I would be happy to discuss the reasons for my reactions, which are maybe a little extreme. But believe me, here is my perspective. Now, I am a historian of French medieval Europe, and Pat and I share our love of Paris and our love of France. And my daughter called me always the queen of the obscure. But in point of fact, what I have studied and published and written about for 70 years is human beings and the interaction of, what do you call it, the mind, the soul, the spirit with the body, and how those determine what we do and how we do it and what we are. I have also been interested in language and how language affects our thoughts, affects our acts. And I did go back to my big Latin dictionary to look up, do you all know the root of patient? Patior. Now, that means a sufferer by way of punishment or sin, or someone who endures, someone who tolerates, someone who bears with equanimity. What an awful word. That obscures the difference between you, the surgeon, and me, the person who needs you. We both share personhood, and we cannot forget the personhood we share. I'll bet everyone in this audience is a patient, and any one of you could have talked. At least you've been to the dentist, and at 92, I've been in a lot of operating rooms. The relationship is not equivalent because the patient needs treatment. But the patient needs you. The patient needs a doctor, but the patient needs someone who respects the personhood of the patient and who gives attention, personal care, who gives reassurance and who gives knowledge. Now, the good part of that is if you do that, what are you going to get in the end? You will get a fan club that is so big, and you will have more people who have trust in you, who have confidence in you, who have real affection for you, and who have incredible gratitude. And I have a list of the doctors who fall into that category. I will not mention those whom I have in another category, and I won't mention what the category is. I have a list of things I wish you as doctors would do. first thing I'd advise you is to get a surrogate or an aide, someone you trust to speak for you, who can call a patient up or see a patient and say, Dr. X can't be with you right now, but Dr. X is sending you this message. That would be such a help at times when the patient is anxious, doesn't know what's happening, has lost track of time, just a word, and that can be transmitted by telephone. And apps, forget apps, because when you're lying there, you can't do an app. But if you can see a clock, and if you can hear a voice, you will be reassured. But I want you all to go out and do lobbies in your hospitals. When you see a patient, that patient has been through a lot of tests, and most patients are in tests that they're not quite sure what they are or why they're being done, because they're not given the information. A simple statement that is taken from the Mayo Clinic or someplace that the patient has in front of him or her and enables the patient to absorb why this is being done and give some sort of idea of exactly why, what might be the outcome, and prepares the way for you. I think the first visit is incredibly important, that you look the patient in the eye, that you shake the patient's hand, that you find out how the patient wants to be addressed, and ask what they do. And you're off to a wonderful start. In terms of the operation itself, I've already talked about the period of waiting when you imagine the worst. Then get it. I don't know how you can establish contact with whoever appoints the nurses for the recovery room, but be sure to get those whose impulses for unfortunate, well, you know, we all know that caregiving is also the flip side of we all have the impulse to torture bugs and things like that. Some of us have more than others. And I think that the nurses who have more are routinely assigned to ICU and recovery rooms. That at least is get them out of there, put them somewhere else. Get in touch with those who provide food. Get those graham crackers out of the recovery room. Get those awful saltines. Put in some Trader Joe rice crackers that are decent to eat. And then the nurses, that when you go back, you can't go right out on the street after a 6-hour operation. You're going to be in the care of nurses. They ought to be chosen so they are looking forward to helping you walk. I had to wait for 8 hours to get a walk. And my son was a little, oh, now, Mom, I just can't, well, I don't want to bother them, for food that was decent to eat. Yogurt that's Dannon instead of some awful brand that's cheap, but also the nurses to get me up and walk. Then discharge, intelligent, adequate information. Which intelligent, accurate information which is dispensed, please, not by social workers, but by people with medical experience. Then when you get home, telephone calls to check how you are, not just one. And I'll tell you, the guy who is my surgeon in chief, he called me himself. Now, I had indeed been kind of a truant, and I'd gone off to a lecture before I came back, and he was floored. But in any case, he called. Or get your surrogate to call. It's that human contact that is so important. And then follow through at home, a call. And the other thing that I don't know whether it's done routinely, but it would certainly be a good thing in my view, which is that the patient be told what the operation was, how it came out, and how it affects your insides. And so that you have some idea why they're not functioning as they used to, if they'll ever do it again, and what you can do. And the outcome of this, if you can just get these revolutions in place, will be that for all of you here, you are going to have patients who love you, who are admiring of you, and who have eternal gratitude to you. Thank you so much.